Okay, good afternoon. It is Debbie Davis. It is Wednesday, May 14th. Okay, so I have to explain the situation here that's going on with this auto insurance. Okay, this is fraud, and it's so ridiculous at this point that it should be a public health or a public announcement, the level of fraud that's going on in the insurance companies, because you can't force people to pay insurance on their car when they don't pay out to fix your car. So there's such a level of fraud going on here that the whole United States should know about it here. So I'm going to explain how ridiculous this is. And and it's really a bigger picture that I'm going to talk about here at the end. And so my car was at the shop. Well, first I got one estimate done at Classic Collision in Bloomington. That was the first estimate. This is a minor bumper. The guy it's minor. And I did get this check in the mail from State Farm. Okay, I didn't, apparently they sent that in, and then I got this check. But then I was told by the second place, but this place, I did a whole video at the Classic Collision, and then they flat out told me, they were so rude to me there, and they said, well, we really don't want to even help you and do an estimate. I don't know if you saw that video, but okay, what we're dealing with are the Masons and the CIA. Okay, and we know now that the money laundering in our country has highly involved the CIA, and the Masons are working with them. So I'm assuming that the Classic Collisions guys are Masons, and I'm on a targeted individual list that I've talked about before, and they are involved in the targeting. This is called crimes against humanity, and if we just allow them to continue to get away with it, then we're just allowing our veterans and our women to get abused like this. Then what kind of a country are we? What's happened to me? It's so this targeted individual program is so against everything this country stands for. I have been nonstop targeted for 13 years now. Okay, so it started with me accidentally being a witness to a crime at a military base. Now we know that Arizona was the head of the deep state. So that particular base was a very integral part of the money laundering, apparently. And that's what I touched on. That's why I've been so heavily targeted all these years. It's only by the grace of God that I even survived this. Like most whistleblowers are dead now. Okay, so that's one thing. Clearly I've been in extreme danger. But for this to go on this long, and it's so disgusting to me that everybody just goes along with it. I'm a veteran. I wore the uniform. The police, none of these, the Masons, they don't treat me with any respect at all. As a woman, as a veteran, as anything. I'm a legitimate whistleblower. I have proven, and I was just at a situation where if I didn't, it was my duty to report it, because we were there and we saw some of the illegal withdrawals this guy was making. And it was, and when you're in a federal position, it's your duty to report. If you don't, then you can be charged as an accomplice. But nobody takes my situation into account at all. I'm going to finish the State Farm here in a second, but I just wanted to explain that, I'm a legitimate person. I've proven I'm a legitimate veteran. I'm honorably discharged. I'm a legitimate whistleblower. I uncovered what I touched on accidentally. You can look up Arizona National Guard embezzlement scandal, And this colonel was caught embezzling $2.7 million. So I've proven that I'm a legitimate whistleblower. I was the one that turned that in to Thomas Atkins at Governor Jan Brewer's office in April of 2011. And then there was some people that did go to prison apparently. We don't really know. Okay, so it started with that, and it turns out that that was a CIA money laundering operation going on out of a military base in Arizona. And I've talked about this before in these videos. I wasn't even working with military at that base. I was working with people pretending to be military that were actually CIA. Okay, the CIA has infiltrated our entire government. So that's the thing I'm going to talk about. That is the highest level of the situation that we need to address on the highest level is the CIA. But I mean, I, as a whistleblower, I did the right things for the right reasons. It was my duty to report it. What happened to me and what's continuing to happen to me goes against everything our country stands for. It goes against all of the human rights violations, the freedoms that we are supposed to have here. And so if we don't do anything to stop it, then it's like we're setting a whole new standard that this is allowed, that you're going to let our veterans and our women be treated like this in the country. And so, if we don't start holding these people accountable that are continuing to retaliate against me still after all these years, if we don't start holding these people accountable that are involved in this targeted individual program, going along with it, then we're it's like we're setting a whole new precedence that this is now allowed, that this is how we operate now in the United States. So to me it's a really big deal, because that still after all these years nobody's held these people accountable. We have to start holding them accountable. This program has to come to an end, this targeted individual program. At the highest levels it was the CIA. And so we're going to go back to when this started, and then I'll continue my State Farm my State Farm story here. But so I've talked about this with my friend Pete. In 1947, there was because we were at war or whatever, there was a National Securities Act law that was passed that put the CIA in charge because it was a national security threat. And they have been in charge since then, and they have been in charge. There was a complete takeover of our country by the CIA at the JFK, at the JFK assassination. So let me so this was just an email and a text that I got reminding me of this here. Why does the murder of JFK still matter? It matters because on that day, our government is still lying about the Kennedy assassination. It means that the powers that killed JFK got away with it and are still in charge to this day. That is why it matters. Yes, it most definitely matters. Okay, CIA and Mossad are responsible for the brutal murder of an American president. It is important to note that ever since that fateful day, November 22nd, 1963, our country has never been the same. It was a takeover, and we have still been taken over by the CIA. So we have to at least come to that acknowledgement and understanding in our country. And then we can start doing something about it. But we can't, if we don't come to the acknowledgement and understanding, then we can't do anything about it. It's above the police. I've told them that. It's above the FBI. It's the CIA and the Mossad that took over our country. They're the ones giving directions down to the FBI. Then the FBI is giving the directions down to the law enforcement, and they're just following orders. Okay, but it's a targeted individual program, and it needs to be stopped, and because it is crimes against humanity. Okay, there is something that has to be addressed, and there must be reform. This has to be addressed, and there has to be reformation and consequences. It can't simply be swept under the rug, or we will remain occupied. We are an occupied force. Okay? This force seeks to destroy America. It's basically the CIA is basically the Nazis. They just renamed their group. They never left. I've talked about this too. They came over here. They were allowed to come over to America on Operation Paperclip. The German scientists came over here under Operation Paperclip and started working for the CIA and NASA. And because our government, was thinking, that we would learn something from the brilliant minds of the scientists, but then they brought their whole forces over. Okay, and now the Nazis are over here. They're just called the CIA. Okay, we have to at least get to that point of acknowledgement and understanding, and then we can start actually, doing something about it if we now acknowledge this. Anyway, but I believe that the insurance companies are involved in the money laundering. So it's like they confuse you so they never have to pay out. Okay, well, you can't force them, but yet you force me to have insurance, but you never want to pay out. I just had the CIA just put this dumb thing that pops up on my screen up too. So, but then I brought this over to Thomas Auto Body, and they said, well, hold on to this because we did a new estimate. And we're waiting to hear from so don't cash this because that's not enough to fix your car because we did our second estimate that was higher. So then they do their estimate, and it's like $6,000. It's like how does it go from 600 to $6,000? Okay, so then clearly this 600 wouldn't be enough to fix it then. So, and then I try to get a hold of this woman that says she's my agent, and I can't get a hold of her. Literally, I tried for a week, and this one lady that worked at Thomas Auto Buddy tried to get through, and it just goes to voicemail. Nobody can get through. And then I get another email from some totally different person named Omar that says we didn't receive any estimates from State Farm, and then they say they didn't receive any estimates. And then I got confirmation again today that, it doesn't sound like they even received any of these estimates, So then I get this in the mail, from a totally different person. Okay, I guess this Omar person, that is basically saying you are free to select a repairer. Well, I already have, my car was at the shop for 3 weeks. I already had a repair person, and we're waiting to hear from you. We didn't hear anything from you. So then the woman told me to go pick up my rental. My car still hasn't been fixed. I now have my car back. It's still hit. It still hasn't been fixed because nobody is getting back to me from State Farm. So this would, this is pretty, well, this is obvious fraud. And it sounds like it's a whole, scandal going on between the collision body shops and the insurance. And the local insurance people were involved too. They're like, well, we can't look anything up. I tried going to the local offices, and they said, well, we can't look anything up unless it's an actual one of our, they're all separate franchises now or something. Like what a joke. We can't look anything up because it's not one of our customers. So the local office didn't help me. None of the local offices. So I'm stuck not getting my car fixed. This is fraud. What else can you call it? I liked the owner of Thomas Auto Body. I like Kenny. He's explaining things well. I don't think it's his fault. But, I can't get through to the insurance company. I expected him to deal with it for me. I can't. I shouldn't even have to be involved. I cannot get a hold of the woman. And it was nobody that I tried a local office and they can't get a hold of the woman. It's not even a real State Farm agent. It's a CIA operative pretending to be a State Farm agent, and the CIA is out to give you as little as possible. They're highly involved in all of the money laundering and all of the fraud, and they are have infiltrated the insurance companies, and they're forcing them to give as little as possible, and make you so confused that you'll take just as little as possible. It's a scam. It's an insurance scam. So I'm trying to warn you. And they did the same thing with a prior accident that has still never been addressed. That was from 2 years ago. Okay, same thing happened to me. Okay, I was sent by the insurance company to this Caliber collision in Bloomington. 2 years ago. We had a really bad accident here, over the Christmas holiday. Somebody's just slid into the side of me. Okay. Then they sent me, the person had USAA. I had full coverage. The other person had full coverage. Nathan. Okay, then USAA sent me over to Caliber Collision. They gave an estimate of, estimate that was way over the amount that it should have been. It was, it was just the side door that was hit. And they gave, and this estimate totaled it out, and the car was not totaled. I had 2 other people look at it and that said it wasn't totaled. Okay, so then my car still hasn't been fixed from this accident either. This is insurance fraud. This is a scam they have going on. So then I brought it into this Barnett, an actual Kia dealership, and they said, no, that's not an accurate estimate. It is not a total loss. 70%. It's not a total loss. This is a Kia dealership. They said it's about $5,000 in damage. The other place was saying like 8,000 or 7,000 or something. I mean, so this is a Kia dealership in White Bear, and it says a totally different thing. So how can the estimates be so far off? And then you're left in the middle, and where you got one person saying it's totaled, one person saying no, it's not totaled. I just want my car fixed. I can't get my car fixed. This is still from 2 years ago. I haven't gotten my car fixed on this one. USAA has completely scammed me. This is an insurance scam. The CIA is involved in scamming me. So this has still never been addressed with USAA. I had full coverage. The other guy had full coverage. My car is still not fixed. I could not get them to, same thing. I couldn't get a hold of the agent. They had a CIA person pretending to be an insurance agent, and I couldn't get a hold of them. This was 2 years ago. This was still not handled. This is still not handled. This is insurance fraud, and it's a scam going on with the CIA and the insurance companies. And the obviously some of the collision shops are involved in it. Okay, so that's the Masons, and you would think they would be embarrassed as men, to be acting this way. You're a professional business, but they're not embarrassed. Like, you could see it. You could see how they acted at Caliber, at Classic Collision in Bloomington. I'm in there. I'm a legitimate person just requesting a legitimate estimate, and they acted like they were like 10-year-olds playing some kind of game. And this is massive insurance fraud that you're committing, and you need to get in trouble for what you're doing. They underwrote the estimate at Classic Collision, and then Thomas Auto Body, it was like way different. This, to me, if you look at my bumper, it was just barely hit. So, I don't really know what to think, but I'm in the middle now, and I don't have any insurance agent contacting me to address the situation. So I was told that this check is not accurate because there was a secondary estimate put in, but then now I get this letter saying they haven't received any estimate. So I don't know if I can cash this check or what, but this is the kind of games they've been playing. So you get so confused that you'll just take the least amount, and then they get away with fraud. against you. Okay, so just be aware of these scams going on, and the dumb masons, the dumb local masons at the body shops are involved, and this is they must be involved in the money laundering. That's the only thing I can think of, because the way they're acting, it was just like, and they're so just like openly, like they don't care. Like they're just openly saying, "Oh, we don't think, by the way you're acting, we don't think we can work on your car." You're a licensed collision person. This is insurance. We're forced to get insurance. And so if you don't work on my car and fix it like you're supposed to, then you're committing fraud. Is there something about that you don't understand as a collision company? Otherwise, you should just lose your license, because you're not working with the insurance companies to fix people's cars like you're supposed to. Isn't that your whole job? They don't seem to understand the trouble that they're in, and that they're involved in the money laundering and the fraud. You don't seem to get it, do you? And your pompous, arrogant attitude against women on top of it. I've already been harassed so intensely, and then now, and you're just openly acting like an arrogant, fraudulent jerks at a collision company. I just can't believe the level that we're going on with some of the men around here. It's unbelievable. I didn't do one thing to deserve this, and it's gone on to 13 years. I didn't do one thing to deserve any of this. I uncovered fraud at a military base 13 years ago now. It has nothing to do with you personally. It has nothing to do with the police personally. They're taking orders. You need to stop taking those orders. And you need to all start getting charged with crimes against humanity and the fraud that you're committing. Okay? So I'm trying to explain as best as I can what I see going on here. I see the collision companies and the insurance companies involved with the CIA committing fraud against us. And so if we don't get wise to this, we're all, but we have to be forced to have insurance, but they don't want to pay out when it's time, and we're going to allow them to get away with this. This is so confusing that, could it be any worse? So here my car, still 2 accidents. I had full coverage. The other person here and the other accident had coverage. I had coverage. It's so ridiculous. It's massive insurance fraud. So I want people to know. And we have to be aware, like I said, that it is at the highest levels, it's the CIA. So we have to address that our country has been, being run by the CIA since 1963.